So often in this business, we have to play detective. It's just the way it is. People aren't necessarily lying to us on purpose, although once in a while you might deal with somebody who's, trying to, cover their own assets and just making sure they don't get in trouble and they don't want to admit something got rebooted this morning, etc. That happens once in a while, but usually it's an innocent mistake. They'll tell you what a connection is, or you're looking at network documentation or network map and you're checking it out and you're trying to get a direct connection coming up, or you're trying to get a host connected to a switch and there's something going on and you look at it and you just think, I just don't think this network map is accurate. And that happens. And an excellent information gathering tool and an excellent information verification tool is the Cisco Discovery Protocol. Now, CDP is Cisco proprietary, and it's going to show you information only about directly connected Cisco devices. And it's an excellent tool, as I show you here on the screen, as long as you have it running. Now, CDP is considered a security risk by some, if not many. You're going to run into a lot of networks that will have CDP turned off. And Cisco, in some of their security tools, they have something called a one-step lockdown that really is like putting your router in lockdown in a prison where nobody can do anything with it. Sometimes you have to enable some things after you run that feature. But one of the things that product will do, that program will do, is turn CDP off globally. So if it is turned off, it is the professional thing to do to say, hey, I'd like to turn this command on for a short while, get some information, and you always want to turn it back off when you leave. I always say, leave the client's house the way you found it. If you spill something, mop it up. If you got a debug running, then turn those off, and of course, turn CDP back off if your client had it off. Now, I've got a couple of these on the screen, and we're definitely going to go to the live equipment. I've got one table that is so long in the live equipment that I want you to be able to see all at once that the font is a little bit smaller than it has been on the other videos, but it's certainly visible and it'll be fine, but it's just for this one video. Now, to enable CDP at the global level, or disable it if it were, as you were, at no CDP run or CDP run, of course, to turn it off and on globally. Now, if you want to enable it or disable it at the interface level, you need to run CDP enable or no CDP enable. Couldn't hurt to memorize which one of those is the interface level command and which one is the global command. Couldn't hurt a bit. Now I'm going to show you these three commands live, but to verify that CDP is running or not running, you want to use the show CDP interface, and or show CDP traffic commands. Show CDP traffic, I don't think you're going to run a lot. I'll show you the output of it. The one I like to use really is just show CDP. And if you have a feeling that it's not running on an interface, you can run show CDP interface as well. Let's go ahead and bring that live equipment up. So the font's just a little bit smaller on this one. You'll see why in a moment. There's a table that I really want you to see all on one screen, and it's pretty spread out. So with show CDP, we're sending packets every 60 seconds, sending a hold time value of 180 seconds. Those are the big values there. Show CDP interface. Now, if you do that without naming the interface, it's going to show you information on every interface on the device that is running CDP. Even if they're down and down, it's going to say, here it is. And it's a lot of information. It's going to be pretty repetitive. So you might want to filter that by naming the interface. And I'll go ahead and show you show CDP traffic. Not a command we use a lot, but it's going to show you your packet output, your packet input, version 1 advertisements, which you probably won't see any in version 2. You can see the output and input there. So not a command you're using a great deal, but it's a good one to know. Now here's the command that is very helpful, and I want to give you a great tip on this one, and that's show CDP neighbor. Now I'm on a switch here that's connected to several other switches at several different ports. And say in my Ether channel lab, port 10 on one switch was connected to port 10 on the other switch, and then port 11 was connected to port 11 on the other switch. It's not always going to be that nice and neat, and you can see here it's definitely not, because this is a great command. And going across, you can see first off the remote device. So we've got 3 direct connections to switch 4. You can see where they are on the local interface or interfaces. So our local 21, 20, and 19 interfaces are attached to that switch 4. There's your hold time. Even gives you your capability here. A capital letter is going to tell you a switch. Capital R is going to tell you a router. And it's even going to show you the hardware platform, which I really like. And even better, the remote port ID. So you can really make your own network map with this command. If you just, diagram what you have here and then just keep hopping to other devices and just keep on going with your drawing, all of a sudden you've mapped the entire network. It's a fantastic command. Now the reason I really wanted to show you all this on one line, because they do leave a lot of blank space in here, but here's the thing with this command. As you can see, we've got how many entries here? Just 12, I believe. And you can have even more than that, obviously. So what I like to do when I'm looking at one line of this, it is so easy to drop a line as you're going across. And I interrupted myself there. What I like to do, if I'm looking at my switch 3 connection, say, I will mark that and go across and highlight it. Because that way your eye is not going to go down a line as you go across. Because let me show you what I mean. It's really easy, say in the middle of all these lines, to look at switch 2. And your eye goes across and it says, okay, fast 14 is the local interface. There's and right here your eyes go down one line. And all of a sudden you're saying, well, switch 2, or fast 14 is connected to that switch 3, fast 015. Well, no, it's not. And what I really like to do, if you're looking at that line in switch 2, you're not necessarily copying it, but you are highlighting it, and that just makes a single line at a time a lot easier to read. That's the way I like to do it. You can also copy the whole thing over to Word or your favorite program there, put some spaces between it, whatever works for you, but that's a really good tip. Because it's so easy for guys to go down one line when you've got so much information on the screen. Now, speaking of information gathering, we've got a router down here, R1. There's the local interface. There's the whole time you can see right here. It's got router, switch, and then you've got 2611XM, so that's our hardware. So, here's the thing. What if I needed the IP address for that device? If I did, I'm out of luck, because show CDP neighbor is not going to show you that information. What you need to do then, if you need that kind of information, I'll show you the rest that you got. Show CDP neighbor detail. And when I say detail, ladies and gentlemen, I mean a lot of detail. Let me go ahead and bring that back up one shot there. There we go. And I'll go ahead and move that up. So you can see show CDP neighbor detail. It's going to give you a lot of detail. And since I did not filter it by saying, here's the interface I want the detail about, it's going to give me all this information for all of them. So that might be a little too much. You can filter that out by running the command show CDP neighbor, put your interface here, and then the detail option. And that's it. So right up here at the top, this is most of the information you're going to need that show CDP neighbor wasn't giving us. And there's the IP address. And of course, that is very important information to have. So again, if you need that, run show CDP neighbor detail. And if you want to filter that down to one interface, just put show CDP neighbor, then the interface, then detail. That's all there is to it. Really, that's all there is to CDP. It is a very powerful command. Let's just go through quickly what I had in the book. Let's bring that back up. Zing. And we've got all the other commands covered here. I mentioned CDP will show directly connected Cisco hardware. I show you how to filter that show CDP neighbor fast. We talked about that. And we also talked about how the detail is the only option that's going to give you the IP address of any routers that are on there. So that's it for CDP. Nothing complex there. Know how to turn it off and on at the global level and the interface level. Know those commands I showed you. And again, it is a fantastic information gathering tool that has saved my bacon more than once. So get comfortable with it, and don't forget about it when you go to more advanced studies, because some people tend to leave it behind. But again, just a great tool to have in your toolbox.